Been thinking about some of the things in my life recently, and one thing that is becoming very obvious is this idea of trying to stay consistent, believing in myself, pushing through, putting the actions, and not worrying about the negativity and the thoughts of my mind, making up scenarios and reasons on why this isn't going to work and you should find something else. Blah, 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 blah. All the negative self talk that I'm sure a lot of people could relate to. So I've been having a fairly hard time during my job search. I'm getting maybe one interview a month. The way that I've been trying to get interviews is just applying online. I am using LinkedIn. I'm messaging recruiters. But it's tough. I think this market is just extremely tough. It's testing my resilience for sure. However, there's a very big problem, and that is I feel like I've atrophied. And what do I mean by that? I was never really a super strong student when I was younger. I was always that student, maybe a B student, who slacks, tries to do the least amount of homework and studying as possible to get the best result and the best grades. And that carried me through into university, where I basically did the same thing. I had like a 3.2 GPA. So I was, again, a B student. Nothing crazy, but not the worst. And I've carried that mindset into the workplace. And of course, COVID didn't help because COVID sent us all back home and I got comfortable. I did the bare minimum amount of work. I didn't push myself to learn. I just played games, watched anime. But I think at the time I was actually fairly happy with that because I was having fun playing games. I was having a lot of fun watching anime. It wasn't until maybe 2024, 2023 that I started losing that passion for playing games and I replaced it with brain rot activities such as just watching random YouTube videos. Sometimes I would spend maybe half of my workday not working and just watching YouTube videos. That in of itself is pretty bad. But something compounded on top of that, which is I thought I was actually better. I thought that my current self 2 years ago was better than the opportunity that I was able to land. Just standard getting cocky and thinking that your skill outweighs your luck. And everything is becoming clear in this difficult market, which is no, I am probably just an average person. I didn't put in the hard work. Early on in my career, I'm 29 now, by the way, so I'm almost 30. For the vast majority of my career, I basically coasted through it. I wasn't a horrible employee, but I definitely wasn't volunteering to do work. I was quiet. I wasn't being influential. And there were several times where I tried to push some initiatives and it did not work out. And after that, I just gave up. Thinking back, I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. I really fell into the trap of being comfortable and thinking that my current state was more advantaged than it really is. And it isn't until you go through a bad market where you really try to get scraps that you really understand, okay, so this is what the world looks like. I mean, at this point, I can't even get volunteer opportunities. I got introduced maybe a month ago through messaging on LinkedIn, and this person introduced me to a volunteer opportunity. I had an official meeting with them, and after that, I've been ghosted. I've been reaching out to people that I used to know, and mostly it's just been ghost. It's been taking a huge mental toll on myself to really figure out what went wrong. And I know blaming the market doesn't really help me. So I can only look inward. Did I challenge myself early on in my 20s? And the answer is no. I didn't really challenge myself. Now, it's not to say that if I did everything right, who knows what that means, that I would have been in a better place, that I would have got promoted, that I would have got a raise or anything like that. But I think one thing that is definitely true is my skill and my ability to apply myself, to really spend the time to learn something, has significantly atrophied during this time of comfort, let's call it. I was on a schedule about a month ago of studying 4 hours a day consistently on CS50P, just going through the program, watching the lectures, doing practice problems, and just spending my time coding because I thought, okay, long term, this is probably going to be a valuable skill for me. If I maintain and stay in business analysis, I can maybe transition to a data analyst role or more technical business analyst. I had a plan. And ever since going through that rejection where I just completely lost my momentum, I cannot bring myself to get back into that 4 hour grind set. And it's just really putting everything into perspective because really, even 4 hours, I don't think is enough. I think you actually need more than that. I think you need maybe 6 to 8 hours to really catch up because I think I'm behind. And why do I say that? Well, what am I behind in? I'm comparing to my peers, of course, but it's not just, they all have a job, they're employed. It's not really just the position that they're in, the money that they're making, or anything like that. It's more like the confidence, right? I don't have confidence in myself anymore. I think going through the job search really made me realize I don't really have that many hard skills. I think my communication skill, on the other hand, has improved significantly. I think filming 60 days of table topic, I can see myself, I can see the recording, I can use the AI analysis, and I know that, as a matter of fact, my communication skill has improved. I know that. But in terms of my hard skill, in terms of the ability to focus, to do repetitive work, to do work that is not engaging, very boring, has just completely atrophied. Like, I'm not able to apply myself anymore. All of this to say that I think modern society makes it too easy for people to just fall into comfort. And there's too many distractions. I'm not even somebody who scrolls through my phone on TikTok or Instagram. I'm on YouTube watching long form videos. But that's not that much better. It's about the same, I would say. It's still a huge time waste. I've tried things like blocking YouTube, blocking Reddit, things that waste time. But a challenge there is it's not as if I block those activities, I then all of a sudden spend the time to study. It's not that simple. And really, I'm just looking back on how I spent my 20s, how I spent my time in university, and I think everything is becoming very clear. It's like none of this is luck. I put myself in this position. It really is my own fault. And understanding that is one thing, but taking that and then saying that's okay and I can now move forward is another. I find myself being stuck, reminiscing on the past, thinking about all the mistakes that I've done, thinking about if I just had a chance again, I would do this, I would do that, I would do these things differently. I mean, even that in of itself might be an illusion. Perhaps once I do get into a role, I will just forget about all the lessons, forget about the hardship that I'm going through now, and fall into a state of comfort again. I'm not really sure what the conclusion is to draw here. I think that if there's one thing that I really want myself to take away from this experience is your result, the external results, satisfaction, your comparison with your friends, all of that are not the most important thing to focus on. I think the most important thing to focus on is very simple. What are you spending the hours of your day doing? I think if I can just break it down to that, and if I can just be intentional with every hour I spend, whether if it's having fun, playing video games, doing things that are not productive, or productive things, they all need to be intentional. The worst case scenario is to do something simply because it is comforting and easy, but at the same time not bring me any sort of fulfillment. And I think that is the problem that I have. And I don't really know how to get out of it. Anyways, just a little bit of putting into words what my thoughts are recently. It's definitely a tough time. And I hope everyone to try their best. Because, yeah, it's tough. That's it.